And of course, as we get to the other side, we have another one to deal with, which is jumping up and shooting it in like its little spinning thing. You know, a handful of times, you know, it'll be dead in a few seconds. And of course, if you time your jumps correctly, you can jump over almost all the other penguins before they end up hitting you. Drop down. There's some health in case I needed it. Okay, now we're in the water area, which we get to use one of my favorite things, the Rush Marine, because for whatever reason, you have the Rush Marine, which is actually pretty cool looking, and I actually like it, but the thing about it is you only use it, like, in this level. There's very few times in the game you actually get to use you need to use the Rush Marine. And of course in this area it works out really, really well. And as you're going through it, there's the big giant item health things that are laid out throughout it, so in case as you're running out, because you can see how much it quickly drains your energy from it. As I get out of it, and I get another energy tank here. Work my way up the ladder. Here's some random stupid frog-type enemies. And climb up to the next ladder. And there we go. There is our boss room. I'm going to climb down here to get a good vantage point to take out this robot so it doesn't hit me. As you can already see, I'm a little bit low on health. I have about half of my health left, and going into Gemini Man with only half health is not exactly the best scenario possible, but I do have energy tanks in case I get too low. Okay, Gemini Man, of course, splits himself into two, and anytime you fire at him, whichever one is, like, on the ground with you, like, even though, and sometimes if there's both of them on the ground, they'll both fire at you, but as you can see, it's not that hard once you get a pattern going and you've done this enough, but every time I fire, of course, you know, they fire back at me, and then after you destroy the clone or whatever, he starts jumping around easily, being able to be hit, and as you can see, he shoots out his Gemini laser, which is a little bit of a pain, but he becomes extremely easy after you eliminate the clone. So he's one of the harder battles because you have to get past that first set with the clone. But once you get past the clone part, he's actually pretty easy. And of course, it fills up my Gemini laser ability, which, like I said, I was always mad about Gemini Man just because when you defeat him, you don't get the ability to clone yourself, which I thought would have always been really cool, just to have like an extra clone hang around you. So it would have fired, you know, just as well as, you know, as you, every time you fired, it would fire as well. So, you know, other video games did that same thing where you actually get an ability to make two of you or multiple, such as Ninja Gaiden, for example. So I always thought that would have been really cool had Capcom done that with Mega Man. The ability to use that ability and split yourself in two and then be able to do multiple shots. So it would have maybe made things easier in certain parts, but, you know. Either way, it's time for Magnet Man stage, which is one of the easier stages, I think. Magnet Man in general isn't too difficult, as we have to deal with another one of the Proto Man battles. As you can see, he's just going to jump over my head, and I'll jump over his bullets when needed, or else he'll just jump and fire over my head, which is even funnier. I mean, as long as you don't jump into him, and as long as you don't try to go too offensive with him, he'll end up just keep going, and you can just end up killing him way before... Most of the time, you'll kill him way before he even hits you. So that's kind of funny. We got these giant missile launcher guys, which is a little bit of a pain. Not them themselves, but just the missiles that they shoot out, since they're kind of homing missiles. They're a little bit of a pain to deal with. Work my way down here. Here's some more of those flipping guys that I mentioned are just annoying and, you know, not hard by any means, but just annoying. Here's more of them. And we have these giant, like, wind-type suck things that bring you closer into them, or like magnets, I guess. Which are a little bit of a pain to deal with. Of course, they're going to make some jumps a little bit more difficult, because you have to time it better. But other games have done it well, you know, have done it as well. Here's the most annoying part of Magnet Man stage, easily. And that, of course, is disappearing freaking blocks. I hate them, as everyone I think knows, I hate the disappearing blocks from the other Mega Man games, so of course, why would I not hate them in this one? And of course, they try to make it challenging by having the magnet thing, or whatever, blowing you into it, or sucking you towards it, so you have to time your jumps differently. But even with that, it's still, these ones aren't as bad as I think the ones in Heat Man stage in Mega Man 2. I actually hate those more, just because I think I died a lot more in Heat Man stage than I did in this one. But that was probably just because I got this game years later, after I was already have beaten pretty much every other one of the Mega Man games. Okay, time for Magnet Man, who's actually another one of the pretty easy robot masters, actually, because he only has really one big thing he does, and that's that he shoots out those magnets, and then he'll do his magnet ability, which brings you towards it, which, you know, just running away from it is really easy to dodge. And his magnets are extremely easy to dodge as well, so overall, Magnet Man's one of the easier ones to deal with. Still not the easiest. We haven't gotten to the easiest one yet, still, which is kind of funny. If I actually had, if I actually used Sparkman's ability on him, he would die even quicker. But since he's really easy to dodge, I wouldn't even need it. Usually Magnet Man's one of those ones I would do first when I would play this game, just because I don't like the disappearing blocks, so I want to get his stage done quickly. And the fact that he's pretty easy allows me, is the reason why I would actually do Magnet Man first. Plus, his ability would allow me to beat Hard Man with with relative ease. So, since I don't really like Hard Man, I would get Magnet Man's ability quickly so I could use it on him later on. Okay, with Magnet Man defeated, of course we get Magnet Man's ability, which is Magnet Missile, which is there's things, of course, he was shooting out at me, and we turn red. Okay, well, we're down to one. The easiest of all, my favorite robot master from Mega Man 3. It is Top Man. I love Top Man. Not only is his ability considered one of the worst abilities in all video game history, he's one of the easiest bosses to defeat in Mega Man. Not as easy as Flashman, for example, but he's probably the easiest one, at least in this game. His stage, of course, has some difficult parts. He has a certain enemy that I have to deal with in his stage that I don't like. So his stage is actually more difficult than himself. Which I always found funny in some Robot Masters, how their stage would be really difficult, but them themselves is extremely easy. And this is one of those cases, I think. Top Man's extremely easy, but his level's a little bit more challenging than him. Work my way down these ladders, and work my way over now. Watch out for these metal bulldozer type things that we've had to deal with. This became like a common enemy for whatever reason in Mega Man 3. There's a whole bunch of them spread out throughout the game. Jump up the fire randomly and climb down this ladder here. More random tools set up, as of course that one actually hits me there. Come on, there we go. Get a little bit of bonus health, so I actually filled my health back up. Okay, this is that enemy I was talking about, the giant cat that throws yarn balls. I hate this enemy because it's a pain in the butt to jump up and kill him while also trying to dodge the yarn balls. So I usually just run in close, jump quickly, and if you have the turbo button, of course it takes 5 seconds to do, but I'm not really using the turbo on him, so it's one of those annoying bosses that I can't stand. And here's another one where I have to deal with him again. Jump up and fire when I can, and try to dodge the yarn balls. The yarn balls are much easier to dodge this second time around because they actually go off screen and don't keep bouncing around and following you. Random tool. A little bit difficult jumps here as I get the full health, so I back up the full max health. Make the longer jump, and of course if I had missed that, instant death, so that's always fun to deal with. Maneuver my way around these tops as they come down at me, jump over them. There we go. Come on, there we go. Get up here and take him out. As we are rounding up near the end here, we have one final thing we gotta deal with, and these spin things. They kind of work like those cloud things that we dealt with earlier in the jumping, in the end of Snake Man stage. But they're a little bit different. Of course, they spin, I think, a little bit faster, and move you a little bit faster. But here we go with Top Man, the easiest one of all. His tops are extremely easy to dodge because he throws them up and you can just do a slide or back away or whatever, and you'll easily be able to dodge him. He just spins back and forth, firing more tops and moving. He's really easy to follow his pattern. He takes a large amount of damage from his top. From the Mega Blaster. Duh. And after only a few times, he is taken care of, and that would complete all the Robot Masters, as we will now get, of course, the best ability of all time, which, of course, is Top Man's Top Spin ability. There we go, as we get that. And now we get to see Mega Man, and of course he'll change into his color that he gets to change into. There we go, Top Spin, and he turns into a yellow, blackish, gray, brown color, which is just horrible. And, you would think we would be going to Wily's stage, but no. In this game, they decided to do something different. They decided to add 4 more levels. Yeah, you have to do the same levels over again. Gemini Man staging, and others. And, So we're going to start off with Sparkman's stage. And what happens is you actually have to fight 2 bosses in it. It's this one random robot guy who actually garners the abilities of the Robot Masters from Mega Man 2. Which doesn't sound, it actually sounds pretty cool, because of course you get to fight, pretty much you get to fight the old bosses of Mega Man 2 again, which, since Mega Man 2 is so awesome, it's a welcome thing to get to see them again. The thing about it is, they're like 6 times harder than they were in Mega Man 2. This guy apparently not only takes the abilities, but he has much faster speed, much harder hits, and since you have to fight 2 per level, and doing 2 of them, they just become a pain. A couple of them are easy still, because they were easy in the last one, but even ones like Flashman are a little bit more challenging to have to deal with, and actually Flashman is one of my least favorite ones to deal with, and we'll deal with him in a little bit. The thing is, the stages are about as long as they were. There's different patterns and all. There's some different stuff they change up throughout it. And here we go. Here is the first of the Mega Man 2 bosses, and there's that guy.